I've been a nurse for many years. I've seen people at their worst, at their most vulnerable, at their most broken. And I've seen them fight their way back. But there is one patient I think about more than any other. She was over 100 years old. She had a broken hip. And in the short time she was on my ward, she quietly changed the way I see life. My name is Hannah, and this is her story. Let's call her Maria. Over 100 years old, a widow, mother of 4 children, raised completely alone, without government support, without a safety net. Just her 2 hands and an unshakable will. She never had much, and she never needed much. Once a year, just once, she treats herself to a holiday. Not a hotel, not a spa. A campsite in Ticino in the south of Switzerland. A tent, the mountains, fresh air. That's it. That is her luxury. That is her escape. That is how she recharges. When she arrived on my ward, in pain, unable to move freely, dependent on us for the simplest things, I thought, this woman needs care. What I didn't know was that I was the one who was about to learn something. The first thing I noticed was this. The pain didn't seem to bother her that much. I asked her one morning, "How are you feeling today?" And she said, "The pain will pass. What's really hard is not being able to do anything, being dependent on you." Think about that. Over 100 years old, and the hardest part wasn't the broken bone. It was the stillness, the waiting, the inability to be useful. So she worked every single day twice as hard as anyone else on that ward, in every physiotherapy session, not because we pushed her, but because she had somewhere to be, someone to get back to. Her children, her grandchildren, her great-grandchildren. When she talked about them, something happened to her face. Her eyes lit up in a way I can only describe as alive, completely, fully alive. And I thought, that's it. That's her secret. Not her diet, not her genes. That look. Since Maria left my ward, I've thought a lot about what made her different. And I keep coming back to the same things. The first one is contentment. She lived simply, not because she had to, but because she understood something most of us spend our whole lives chasing. That happiness isn't in more, it's in now. In the campsite in Ticino, in her grandchildren's laughter, in her morning coffee. How many of us are constantly running toward the next thing, the next holiday, the next promotion, the next version of our lives, and completely missing the one we're already living? Maria was never waiting to arrive somewhere. She was already there. The second lesson is one I see every day at work. The patients who recover fastest are not always the youngest or the strongest. They are the ones who stop asking why. Why me? Why this? Why now? That energy, the constant resistance, the bitterness, the negativity, it costs an enormous amount. Energy the body desperately needs to heal. Energy life needs to move forward. Maria never wasted a single moment on why. She only ever asked, "What can I do right now?" And then she did it. That is not weakness. That is one of the most powerful choices a human being can make. There's an old piece of wisdom, I believe it's Chinese. Always turn your face toward the sun, and the shadows will fall behind you. And there's more science behind this than most people realize. When you smile, even if you don't feel like it, your subconscious mind receives the signal. Oh, we're smiling. We must be doing okay. The body follows the face. Try it tomorrow morning, before your first thought, before your phone, before anything. Just smile. And look at yourself in the mirror. Say something kind to yourself. I know it sounds strange, but it works. Because you are training your mind to be on your side. This brings me to what I believe is the most important thing of all, and something that most of us were quietly talked out of as children: self-love. Not selfishness, not arrogance. Self-love means believing you are enough, allowing yourself to be okay, stopping the constant self-criticism, the comparison, the punishment. Mel Robbins, many of you may know her, developed something called the high five habit around exactly this idea. Every morning when you wake up, you go to the mirror and give yourself a high five. It sounds ridiculous, I know, but what's behind it is profound. You are training your brain to see itself as an ally, not an enemy. Maria never read Mel Robbins. She never followed a method or a system. She simply had no other choice than to trust herself completely, to show up for herself and for children every single day for decades. And that made her unbreakable. Not the life she was given, but the way she chose to live it. She was kind to everyone around her, friendly even as a patient, even in pain. And I truly believe that kindness she gave to the world started with the kindness she gave to herself. Maria was eventually discharged from my ward. She went home, to her family, to her life, to her garden probably. I only knew her for a short time, but she will stay with me for the rest of mine. If a woman who lost everything, built everything herself, and has lived over 100 years, can still wake up every morning with purpose and joy and kindness, what is our excuse? Be content with what you have. Come back to the present moment. Wake up with a good attitude. And if you can't, then 1, 2, 3, get up anyway. Because most of the time, the bad feeling leaves the moment you start moving. The days are not in your way. The days are the whole thing. Thank you for watching. If this touched you, please share it. Someone in your life might need to hear this today. And tell me in the comments, what is your small daily reason to get out of bed? I read every single one.